Hey, Redcasters, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Go Big Red.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast, the Husker Fan Sports Show.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast. I'm your host, Honke. And it's really hard to set up live shows, I can tell you that. I'm with Rob.
Well, I'm just happy to be here. It's been a long day. It was a great Husker win. And as far as I'm concerned, let's drink some beer.
Let's drink some beer. Talen.
How we doing? This is exactly how a season opener is supposed to go as a Cornhusker fan. You know, you're supposed to watch your team be dominant like all these other teams do, take care of business at home against an inferior opponent. So it was great to see us get back to doing that after like 4 years of just constant losing the season opener. So it was good to see.
Well, it was nice to see it in Lincoln, Nebraska, too. It's been 5 years since we played a season opener in Lincoln, and to not have to play a Power 4 team right away, you get the opportunity to work some kinks out and get some things figured out. We figured out a lot today. This is a really cool setting. And, Rob, number one, I want to give you some credit. A couple things you did today. Rob got to do something really cool that I think every fan would love to be able to do. Boomer and Dave got to do it again in a very different game, Georgia Southern a couple years ago. But Rob had press passes there, and he was on the field. He was up in the press box for the game. And today we're up on top of the rooftop at the Bierhaus in the Haymarket. This is Kinkaider Brewing.
It is.
This place is amazing. They've been awesome. They're helping us get it all set up. If I turn like this, if I turn away here, we have Pinnacle Bank in the background, and I don't know how well you can see it.
You can't.
Probably can't. Probably can't. Doesn't matter. And for the people listening on the podcast later this week, and it wouldn't matter to them anyways. But this is an outstanding setup.
It is.
And Huskers today start the season 2 of Rhule 40-7. Victors over UTEP. We are 1-0 for the first time. Rob,
But here's the thing. How did we get right here?
how did we get up to the roof?
Bierhaus?
To the rooftop? Well, an elevator.
So, that's true. But I want to give a shout out to our friends at Kinkaider Brewing who own the Bierhaus here. They're actually a sponsor of ours here for whether it's a short time or a long-term thing. But right now, they wanted me to talk about the Omaha Oktoberfest at Stinson Park on September 21st from noon to 10 p.m. There's going to be all kinds of cool stuff like a ceremonial cake, tapping, free purchase your commemorative extra large 20-ounce Stein and T-shirt, and VIP tickets for an entry to the event. You can get all kinds of tokens. It's $10 for early entry, $20 for late entry. They're going to have music like Angie Kritz and the Polka Tunes, Rascal Martinez and Barry Bryce Band.
The Polka Tunes?
The Polka Tunes are going to be there.
My gosh.
Dude, seriously, I started following them on Apple Music, and it might be one of the greatest things in the history of, like, Husker anything. Like, yeah, it's fantastic. But there'll be there will not be any cash or card throughout the whole thing. You will need to purchase tokens while you're there. So you can get them at different merch booth or in advance at Pedal Pub or multiple bars. There'll be games being played, all kinds of German games. The only one that I can pronounce is Jenga. So everything else was like Hammerschlagen, Mastekruken Stemmen. Let's see, there's Kornloch, which I think is just cornhole. Shotskis, Connect 4,
Yard Dice.
Yeah, I can pronounce.
Yeah, I can pronounce.
It's going to be
Yard
a
Dice.
really good time. So check it out, and you should definitely go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a huge thanks to the people at the Bierhaus and Kinkaider here in the Haymarket.
Shout out to Cody, to Oz, to everybody here that's been helping us out, mostly for the free beers. I'm not gonna lie. That was
I'm terrible with where I'm located. Am I at 8th and P right now?
We're like 8th.
Is that
We're
Boomer?
in the
Can you give me a
Haymarket.
thumbs up or thumbs down? Do you know if this is 8th and P? It's right next to Rodizio Grill here. But where the Bierhaus is, this is outstanding. So much fun, man. We're down in the Haymarket, enjoying a victory.
I can see Memorial Stadium lit up.
Yeah,
over
we
my
can see
left
Memorial
shoulder.
Stadium over our left shoulder here. Redcasters, we got yes, 8th and P. Boomer, we've got Boomer in the background here. Redcasters that are watching on our YouTube, our Facebook, our Twitter channels. please, we want to get your feedback. We want you guys telling us what your thoughts from today are. We want your questions. We have a guy here, Rob, who sat right next to Sipple and all those guys after the game with the press conference. He was on the field taking pictures with people and taking pictures of the game. So, you know what? We want to get your feedback as well while we're here. But this was a great day. This was a fun day for Redcast Nation, for Husker Nation.
It was probably one of the most memorable days of my life, and I get to come back in 2 weeks and do it again.
Yeah, I mean that's what's so cool. And we've set the stage for Colorado next year. Talen, you and I drove down to Colorado a year ago, went to that game in Boulder, and we've set the stage with this victory tonight. And Colorado's very narrow last-second play ended at the 4-yard line. They were 4 yards away from losing to an FCS team. We set the stage for two undefeated teams playing next week. National TV, night game in Memorial Stadium. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's something we couldn't get done last year, right? I mean, we lose to Minnesota in that heartbreaking fashion on a last-second field goal. Colorado gets it done in their first game, beating a TCU team that comes off winning a national championship. They have all the hype coming into that game last year, and it feels like we took a step forward today. I mean, it just being 1-0 for the first time in I think 4 or 5 years, it feels like we are where we should be going into this game against Colorado, a highly anticipated rivalry game. And I think as a Husker fan, I think we're just ready to see us show what we can be as a program. I mean, I think that's what it is. I think Colorado had all the hype, and I feel like we have some of the hype coming in where we can feel confident going in up against a team who has a fantastic offense, really. I mean, it's going to be a great showdown. I really can't wait.
By the way, I can't wait to continue to have the Pilsner that we are drinking here from Bierhaus. This has been just, again, outstanding. So much fun here. Rob, you had a great experience today. Tell us, before we even get into the game, tell us a little bit about your experience. A fan who got to be up there doing the media thing and doing a great job at it.
Well, it's always interesting when you're up there because there's so many different people up there, and anybody from the Husker media that you could name, they're there. And you see them immediately. I rode up in the elevator this morning with Sam McEwen and I think it was Sean Callahan.
Sure.
Right? Like we walked in and got on the elevator together, and both of them were like, "Hey Rob, what's up?" And then I get up the elevator at one point, and Damon Benning is up there, and he immediately stops talking to the group of guys that he's talking to, turns around and is like, "Rob, what's up?" Big hug. Like holy cow. Because we've been whatever, man. It's weird. And
we've got spillage and we've got a droppage of a phone there, so we'll see how that goes.
It's Russian the computer.
We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it in a second. Rob's cleaning up a spill, so yeah. And we'll continue to talk about this one, Rob. But let's get to the game here. Nebraska wins the game, Talen, 40-7. All right. I think a good place to start here, and I'm going to bring this up. Good place to start is let's go offense. And with offense, let's start with the quarterbacks. And multiple quarterbacks played today, but it all starts with Dylan.
Absolutely.
And the 5-star true freshman quarterback, the first guy off the bus that was walking through the legacy walk before the game, he came out cool, calm. You'd never know he was a freshman. And what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it all starts with the amount of poise this kid has, with the amount of pressure that's on his shoulders. I mean, coming in, supposed to be a program saver for this Nebraska team. Obviously choosing us over the likes of a team like Georgia. Decommitting from them and switching to us. I think the fact that he can step into this game today with everyone, their eyes on him, and to be as cool, calm, and collected, just like you said, the poise in the pocket is something that I don't think we've seen from a freshman quarterback, especially at the Husker level since maybe Tommy Armstrong, maybe Adrian. When he was really playing really good that first year he was with us with Scott Frost. So it's just really interesting to see, like, this kid does not feel the pressure. I mean, he's in it. It's like he's seen this pressure all of his life, and it's his first game. Sitting playing in a stadium that he came. He watched his dad. do it for 4 years. So it's pretty interesting to see that he feels none of it. He is as advertised in this game. I mean, I think he threw close to 70%.
19 of 27, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns, a long of 59. He took 1 sack. Harburg even, I mean, since we're talking quarterbacks here, I thought Harburg coming in, going 5 of 5, 35 yards, long of 12. Look, let's talk about the position as a whole. We know Dylan's the starter. There's no questions or concerns about that. But that position's better. Harburg looked better than he did a year ago. The improvement of bringing Glenn Thomas in to coach these guys, Satterfield being up in the box where he wanted to be to begin with last year. I mean, that offense did things in game 1 that it never did the entire last season. So I at least think through one exhibit, this is it. This is the only option that we have to look at so far for the season. It's hard to say that wasn't a success.
Oh, absolutely. And I think bringing in a guy like Dylan to kind of lead that forefront of growth in that quarterback room, to make sure, it pushed Heinrich to want to be better. It wasn't like Heinrich took a back seat in this offseason. He wanted to compete that entire time. And even Danny Kalin and even I can't think of his name right now.
The Gramstad.
Yeah, Gramstad. It never looked like anyone wavered from the pressure of like, hey, this 5 stars coming in, we don't have a shot. They all wanted to compete. Heinrich, I mean, you could even see it with some of the throws. He's always had that arm strength. The thing that he needed to work on was that accuracy and that sidearm and kind of his placement of his throws. And you could see it, over the middle. I mean, he hit multiple guys over the middle, and it was something we didn't see last year. So, I mean, it is pretty impressive to see what a guy like Dylan can bring in, and want to push these other guys to even want to be better.
Yeah, well, it was better. It was absolutely better from play 1, and I mean, it's a great start there. Boomer, do we have some comments? Do we have anybody? What are the people saying right now? Laura, what do you think of the effect of switching sidelines had? I'll tell you what, Rob can, and Rob's cleaning up a mess right now, but Rob can speak to this. When I talked to him at halftime, when I talked with Rob at halftime, he talked about how he needed to go upstairs. He was dehydrated. He was on the field. It was 100+ degrees. This was very similar to what we would have been, seeing a year ago with the Michigan game when Harbaugh said, get onto the west side to begin with. Perfect example of a game to do that, and a true advantage to be on that west side in the shade throughout it all. So yeah, I think that played a huge part of it.
It has to, and especially playing on a turf field, it's going to be even hotter. I think in the stands it was probably 85 degrees, and Rob said I think on the field it was close to 100. So I mean and the humidity today was absolutely. I mean, you could feel it the second you walked into the stadium. With the crowds of people, it was a hot one today. So the fact that we were able to stay away from the sun and kind of let our guys be in the shade and not have to do that, and it wears on teams, right? I mean, for a UTEP team, obviously they play in Texas, so they are used to the heat, but it does wear on you through a course of a game when someone's running through your face, that entire time. That it takes a lot out of you. So I think it is a beneficial thing, and the fact that we haven't done it for 20 years, and we're letting our players, I don't know too many stadiums.
It's been a tradition forever to be on that east side, as far as anyone can remember. Pretty much it was over there. But yeah, it makes sense. And today was a great first example of why you'd want to move it over there. So, again, kudos to Troy Dannon and the staff for getting that done, for making that happen. It should be a home field advantage.
Yeah.
When I look to next week and playing Colorado, it should be a home field advantage. What we did last year in Boulder when we went down there, that wasn't a great CU team, but we hit them at the wrong time, and that environment was crazy.
Yeah.
I will give where I love to crap on Colorado wherever I can, but I will give them their due with that environment compared to the 2019 one that we went to where Nebraska took over Boulder. Last year, that environment played an active role in the outcome of that game. And so when I think about what could be next weekend, this is a night game. You want Thunderstruck. You want Dion. You want national TV. You want it all. It's there. And now because they stopped a guy 4 yards short from scoring a touchdown and beating them in game 1, there's my little dig at them. Because they were able to prevent it 5 yards away from it, we do get a 1-0 versus 1-0 game. And so Yeah, I'm ready, man.
Oh, I've been excited ever since I found out this was a night game. I mean, this is going to be electric in Memorial Stadium. The atmosphere is going to be crazy. There's going to be a sea of red. I would be surprised if you see many Colorado fans in that stadium. They're going to try, but Nebraska fans are gonna show out. It's going to be interesting to see because this is what we expected to see last year, but with what we have in the depth, on quarterback, on running back, we have 4 good running backs that we can play.
Well, that's the start. That's a segue right into it. The running backs, we saw a little bit of it all today. So Dowdle played, Irvin plays, and both Johnsons play, Emmett and Ramir. We tweeted something out, but before I even do that, I'll put you on the spot. We didn't talk about this before, but out of the 4 running backs, who do you think looked the most explosive? Who do you think looked the best?
I really like Dowdell. I think he's a very physical back, especially coming, a lot of schools wanted him when he came out of Oregon. But I also really, really liked Ramir Johnson. I mean, that kid runs physical. He's very shifty. He can break tackles. He can get loose. I'm a big fan of his. I've been a big fan of his. But obviously, I still really like Gabe Irvin. I mean, he runs like he wants to run through you every single time. He does not let up. And obviously, injuries has plagued his career a little bit. But to be, 3 running backs, 4 running backs that you can be confident in to carry the ball. But I think Dowdell's our guy, right? I mean, if he doesn't fumble that, he's probably got 15 carries.
Yeah, today. Emmett, and I go into this season, if I had to pick a guy in my head, Emmett's the guy that really? What I love is if you ask 4 different people this question, I think they would come up. You could have 4 different answers,
Absolutely.
Right? That's how good I think that room can be. And we tweeted something out during the game where we said this can be a very good rushing offense this season. And it's important to say again, as in that, like, we're not hoping to be a good rushing offense. We were a year ago. We were a good rushing offense. It was different. There was more of a quarterback element to it than this year. But we could be a good rushing offense again. But I don't, at the same time that happens, I don't think we have a bell cow. Now, the closest thing I think that we could have to a bell cow, based off of one game that I've seen here, I think is Dowdell. Yep. But you can't put the ball on the turf, and you can't put the ball on the turf certainly at the 5-yard line. And so one other thing that we tweeted out during the game was, and it was kind of during the third quarter, the game's out of hand at this point, and I just tweeted out that it would be great if we could see Dowdell one more time. Like, just give him one more rush just to try to take that bad taste out of his mouth, that he made the mistake. And I referenced the fact that Nair, we'll get to receivers in a second, but Nair had an unbelievable game, right? Yeah. He had over 100 yards receiving it by halftime. Yeah. But he dropped that ball, that touchdown right away. Too. And, if you're a receiver, you got to catch passes, right? So using that same mentality, like it would be easy to say, hey, he dropped the touchdown, get him off the field, right? But no, they obviously he came back strong and had a great first half. Dowdell didn't get that chance to come back on the field. Now let me be very clear about that. I also think Rhule was definitely making a point to Dowdell and to every one of those running backs. And this is why I don't have any issue with the fact that he didn't come back on the field. Dowdell didn't come back on the field because you can't fumble the ball at the 5-yard line. It just doesn't matter. Well, he didn't. Rob, nobody can hear you over there talking like that anyway. So
I'm sorry.
I don't know who you're talking to.
I'm pretty sure that he did come in because I remember Rhule in the press conference saying that while Dowdell put the ball on the ground and he was glad that he was able to come back from that in the second half and run the ball without.
Well, I don't think he had any carries. By the way, Redcasters, this is
I think he maybe 1 or 2 he got in, but he played 2.
Redcasters, this is a great example that we're back. Is that we've heard a number of ambulances going through Haymarket, and that means that Husker fans are out there celebrating a victory for hours and hours.
I have not seen this many people being escorted out of a bar at 6 p.m. in the evening ever.
I went to we might let this one go by. I watched the game actually from Mac's house. Rick, let's let this one go.
Isn't it great to be a Husker fan again?
Oh my gosh, this feels like the '90s,
won
Boomer.
The national championship or something.
So I watched the game at Mac's house, and for people that don't know, Mac's EMT, He works emergency room. He's like, yeah, Husker nights can be rough after losses, but after wins, I think they can be every bit as rough because I think people might be in a little more celebratory mood. But we were talking about the running backs. And specifically, Dowdell, I thought, looked the most complete out of them while he was running in the first quarter. And then, you fumble and you're off the field. Now, Boomer, can you put that question back up? You put a question on the screen. We didn't quite get to it.
So can we talk about the fumble real quick?
Well, just wait a second. I want to see this. Eric says, great watching running backs hitting gaps, letting holes develop, receivers using body positioning to make catches, and the O-line handling people. Second and third string getting quality reps. Eric, it's a great point. All of it, that is exactly what we saw today. Rob, what were you wanting to say there?
Well, so I was sitting right in front of the fumble today. And honestly, while he did fumble, I will say that it was, I don't want to call it a forgivable fumble.
Nope. I'm not.
But
it's a bang play, right?
This
it was a bang.
This is one of those.
His knee. If
Nope.
down,
I'm not even allowing you to finish that. This is that point where I talked about no excuses, and Dave and I got into it a couple weeks ago. I don't care that we won by 33 points. You cannot fumble the football at the 5-yard line of the other team. Now, to the point of us being better than we were a year ago, we turned that fumble into a safety and got the ball back. And as you said, Rhule talked about in the post-game press conference that
safety should be a turnover.
So they should be a turnover.
So we should have been +2 in the turnover.
And that's great. But I am not, just like Rhule did not allow Dowdell did not run the ball again, at the very least. If he played, then maybe I missed it. But he did not run the football again. And the point is that you don't fumble the football at the 5-yard line. And of course, it was a great hit. It was a great hit that they had on him. But that's not acceptable. And that's what Rhule, that's the culture part. That's what he's setting. You don't fumble the ball at the 5. And so we've had that happen. That's how you lose football games. So I said this last night, Rob, when we did our pregame show am I happy with the score? Sure, of course, I want to win. And 40-7 is a great win, right? But there are things I'm glad in the long run. I really am. I'm glad that he fumbled. Now that we've won it 40-7, I'm glad he did because it gave them an opportunity, a teaching moment. It gave those other running backs a chance to. There's a practice point now for the next week. You're not going to fumble at the 5-yard line next week when we get down there against Colorado. That's awesome. I'm glad it happened. Today. I can say that now. I can say that now. I didn't say it at the time, but. Yeah, Boomer, I demand perfection, right? I think, hey, the guy that looks like me and gets paid a lot more than I do, he's demanding that same thing. And so I love what Rhule did there.
Oh, and it's even like you look at kind of last year, you look at a guy like Anthony Grant, who was supposed to be our starting running back, and he had fumble problems, and he still started. And he still played a lot, and he still fumbled. So I think it's to be 4 running backs deep that you can completely trust. I think it sends a message to that room like, hey, we got 4 guys.
Uh-huh.
We love you, and we do want you to play, and we think you can contribute to us. But we got 3 other guys who and they're all very similar backs in a way. They all want to run through you. They all can kind of make that one cut and go. They can all find a hole and go, and they're all physical. So it's not like, yes, Dowdell might be the best one of the bunch, but if you put in a Raheem Johnson or an Emmett Johnson or even an Ives, it's not like you drop off an exponential amount.
Well, I think that's the thing, too, is that I said that we don't have a bell cow right now. And I don't think we do, right? But that's today. That's August 31st. That doesn't mean that we can't have a bell cow on October 1st. If there's development and there's competition, those 4 competing against each other and making each other better time and time again. Remove that. But the point is that competition right now we don't have to have a bell cow today. We need 4 guys.